Hey there. It's been a long day of work, and I, for one, am ready for a short rest. I definitely can spend some hit dice and get ready for the next encounter tonight. But before we dive into today's topic for the short rest, I wanted to thank all of the amazing people that have been watching our videos, subscribing to the channel, and I wanted to do something special for hitting 100 subscribers. And I think I have a very good way to say thank you to you all. So, um, first, I'm going to do a live stream on Monday night. We're going to have a live play streaming DC20. It's actually going to be this prep work that I'm going to be showing you now. So if you watch this video, then you'll have a heads up as to what the players are going to be encountering in Monday's session. And that will give you an opportunity to see some DC20 live play as well as see me GM a game. The other thing that I wanted to do as a thank you is offer one lucky viewer a free voucher to join a session in one of our games that could be used for a session in an established campaign, or it could be used for one of our fabulous one-shots that we have. I would like to highlight Dude Where's My Pants, where the players wake up with amnesia. They have no idea what happened. They are in their underwear in their hotel, in their room in the inn, and they have no clue what happened, and they have to figure it out. It's an excellent adventure created by my wonderful wife, Allie. And yeah, all you have to do to be eligible to win is be a subscriber to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment. And then Tuesday next week, we'll pick a random winner out of the people who qualify, the people who are subscribed, have liked this video, and have commented on this video. And then we'll announce the winner on the short rest next week. So Wednesday next week, we'll announce the winner. The last bit of housekeeping that I wanted to do before we get into the video is just spoiler alert. If you have not played the Pathfinder 2E beginner box, this is going to be full of spoilers, so if you have any interest in playing it, you may want to not watch any more of this video. If you are interested in playing in this scenario, because I do have it up on Start Playing, you may want to skip this video. But if you just want to see how I created monsters for it, how I converted it, then come with me and take a peek behind the screen. Alrighty, so this is the first room of the Pathfinder 2nd Edition beginner box, again converted to DC20. One thing that DC20 uses is an initiative DC and an encounter DC, and I'll explain how I came up with each of those numbers as we go. One thing to note is that usually the encounter DC, as per the Dungeon Coach's recommendations, is 5 lower than the initiative DC. And this encounter is with 4 giant rats. So what happens is the players come into this area of the basement of a fishery. There's the backstory for the module is that Tammy Tanderville has hired the adventurers to investigate what has happened to her fish. Her fish keeps getting eaten. She keeps ending up with empty barrels of fish. So when they're investigating this room, these 4 giant rats crawl out of the hole and attack the players. See my stat block. Just also preface that my stat blocks are a little rough. I came up with the best that I could using Roll20. Where's my giant rat? Here it is. So my giant rat, it has M is like might, A is agility. So just to go over the character sheet, how I have it laid out: C is charisma, I is intelligence, PD is physical defense, MD mental or mystical defense, HP is hit points. So they're not very strong with a -2. Their agility is their highest stat at +2. Charisma -3, intelligence -4. I base the stats kind of off of the 5th edition version. Normally I try to give the creatures at least one stat that's 3, just like a level 1 character would. However, being a giant rat, I figured this should have lower than normal stats and also only 3 hit points. My thought process there is also following Dungeon Coach's suggestions that, like, say a goblin should have like 5 hit points so that if a player hits it really hard, they can kill it in 1 hit, but usually it might take like 2 hits. These rats, I really, unless it's like a 1 damage weapon or a 2 damage weapon and they just barely hit, I wanted them to kill these rats in 1 shot. And with a PD of 11, there's a pretty good chance that they will go down in 1 hit. Again, using the 5th edition stat block as a guide, I have used the skills that the 5th edition rat has: keen sense, giving it advantage on perception checks that rely on smell. It, as a monster, probably won't come into play too much, especially in this module, but because of the way that advantage and disadvantage stack, I figure this is a cool, flavorful thing to keep from 5th edition. Dark vision 60 feet. It wouldn't actually be 60 feet for DC20. It would be converted to squares, but just for like copy paste, I just kept the 60 foot descriptor. And for the XP, I know that Dungeon Coach is going to have like leveling guides coming up. Either, I don't know if it's alpha or beta 08 or 0.9. But for now, just so I had some kind of idea of what to work with, I've just kept the 5th edition experience points. They have an attack, which is their bite. It's +3 to hit, 1 piercing damage, and the range is melee. Again, characters at level 1 are +4 to hit. I wanted the rat to have a less chance to hit because it is a rat, and the damage needed to be low because this is a teaching encounter. In Pathfinder 2nd edition, this room in the module is used to teach the players the basics of combat, and I wanted to maintain that teaching moment just in DC20 instead. And then the rats do have an advantage in pack tactics, which in the DC20 community I think is controversial to actually use pack tactics, but I find that with advantage and disadvantage stacking, that pack tactics is not only not as strong overall as it is in 5th edition, but it actually is very balanced in DC20. And the reason is that the first attack is at advantage, as long as there's another rat or an ally within 5 feet, or 1 space rather. And then the second attack would have disadvantage. Yes, the pack tactics grants advantage, but that second attack is just a straight attack, normal attack. And then after that, if it attacks a third time, it has 2 instances of disadvantage, 1 instance of advantage from pack tactics. So it's making that third attack with disadvantage. So because of the way that the multiple check penalty works in DC20 and the way that the advantage from pack tactics slowly degrades over time, it's not like in 5th edition where if you have something with pack tactics and it's making multiple attacks, they're all at advantage. That's not the case here because the advantage is just going to keep whittling away until eventually it does have disadvantage anyway. So that's my rat. It should be a pretty easy encounter. The next room is actually a skill challenge. And in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, this room is to teach players how you would use skills to maneuver the map. So there's a 10-foot cliff, and in Pathfinder you need to make multiple checks to climb down this thing unless you critically succeed. So what I'm going to do is probably just make it a skill challenge. They need it's a simple task. I might even go as little as number of players -1. Like the lowest that I've seen in Dungeon Coach's official material, which is the Hunted, is equal to the number of players, and I've seen equal to the number of players +1. But this is a really simple task, so to introduce skill challenges, I'm actually not 100% yet if I'm going to go with number of players or number of players -1, but they'll describe how they climb down here. If they help each other, then the person helping can roll the D8 help die, and if the person making the check fails, then they both fail. And I'd probably do it like the combat skill challenge that Coach has in the Alpha module, The Hunted, where if they fail, each character that fails will take a point of damage, and if the group fails, then those that failed will take another point of damage. So I think that should be an interesting way to introduce skill challenges, and going to move up to the next room. So this room introduces some other environmental hazards in the way of the spider webs, as well as a hidden enemy, giant spider, and it also allows for some interesting combat tactics. Do you burn the webs? Do you try to sneak past the webs without disturbing them? Do you try to disturb the webs to draw out the spider? So a lot of interesting ideas for this room. And I'll just look at the stat block that I have for the giant spider. I'm not going to go as much into like why the stat block is set up the way that it is. Most of the stat blocks are set up very similarly. So again, using the 5th edition version as a backbone for this version, it has a +3 might, a +3 agility. This is based on the stats that it had in 5th edition. -3 charisma, -4 intelligence makes perfect sense for a bug. PD 13, I kind of used the 5th edition giant spider, and mostly when I'm converting the monsters, I'm taking away from their stats because the 5th edition stats are just higher than they would be for DC20. Mental defense of 4. I mean, it's a spider. It has terrible intelligence and charisma. If you attack it with mystical, you're going to destroy it. 14 hit points. It is a higher challenge monster, so it should take more than one good hit to take it down. probably 2 or 3 really strong hits, maybe 4 if the hits aren't as strong. They're actually, I guess I just didn't copy over these things, but most of them don't really matter too much. The important things are going to be the bite, which I have +5 to hit, based on its might, and I think it's challenge. Yeah, I did copy over the XP, but I did copy it all over, but it's like it's in red, so it's hard to read. It has like +7 to stealth in its skills, blind sight 10 feet, dark vision 60 feet, and then 200 XP. So pretty much what I did was started with the challenge rating of a quarter, of an eighth, and I went up from there, coming up with a like what level the creature would be. So like an eighth was challenge rating, was like a creature 1. A quarter was creature 2. Half was creature 3. Right, and so on, as you go up. And that's how I figured out what level the creature would be, and then what their combat mastery would be. I have watched a video, and I did like what I don't remember who it was, but they had suggested taking the hit dice and chopping it in half, and then that's the creature level. I actually really like that idea, but I just saw that, so when I built these creatures, I didn't use that. So it's +5 to hit with its bite, 2 piercing damage, and I have out of the stat block from the 5th edition version, a DC 11. So I do have to change that. Let me change that, because it wouldn't be con, it would be might. Okay, I'll have to change it later. It's not changing for me for some reason. Or take 2 poison damage. It should be a pretty easy save, and actually I might even drop that. Well, the encounter DC is 13 with an initiative DC of 18. My reason on the 18 for that initiative DC is because the spider is hidden, so it's a little bit more complicated of an encounter. I gave it the web ability, +5 to hit. Again, I just copied this out of the 5th edition book, so it's still using feet, but I would just convert it to spaces. And again, instead of strength, I would just make that a physical save. The HP on the web also I would change. I'm not sure what's up with my keyboard's not working for me. But note to myself that I need to look at the giant spider. Oh, because I didn't click edit. Okay. So we'll do some editing on the fly. The important thing that I really needed to change here is AC is going to be PD, and 10 is... I think 10 is fine. The HP, though, on the web would be less. Honestly, in DC20 terms, it's probably 1. Yeah. Okay, cool. And the other thing that I wanted to change is that this should be might. 2 poison damage seems like too much for DC20. I'm actually lower that to 1. But 2 piercing and 1 poison, I think, is probably fine. Yeah. Okay. So, moving on. Uh, room number 4 is another skill challenge of sorts. This one is the barricade here can either be taken apart using in Pathfinder it's crafting. An applicable skill would be fine though for DC20 or whatever the characters come up with, or it can be just brute forced knockdown. If brute force is used, it alerts the undead in the room up here, and if they use some quieter means, again for Pathfinder it would be crafting, but really I would allow any interesting solution that the players came up with that wouldn't make noise. Then it just depends on how they do on the check. So room number 5 is the Forgotten Crypt. It's kind of an optional room. It kind of, especially at like a convention where the players can see the entire flip map, it is surprising to me when they decide to visit this room, because clearly it doesn't go anywhere. But I guess too, if they're not metagaming and or want to just explore the entirety of the dungeon. This one I gave an initiative DC of 16 with an encounter DC of 11, again 5 less. And the reason that I did the lower initiative DC for this room is because the skeletons are like not aware, they're like in the caskets, and they have to spend actions to join the encounter, and the zombie is also in the sarcophagus. So they're very slow to react, and therefore I figure the initiative DC for this encounter should probably be lower. When we look at the stat blocks for these, the first one I'll have here is the skeleton. Again, using the 5th edition stat block, we have as a guide a might of 3, agility of 2, charisma -3, intelligence -1, very low mystical defense. Clerics with their spells like Sacred Bolt that target mystical defense are gonna like chew these skeletons apart. Physical defense 13, again kind of based off of what the 5th edition skeleton had. 8 hit points. A cleric, with a Sacred Bolt is probably going to easily, brutally hit these things. If they end up with a critical or something, they might even one-shot the skeletons. And I think that feels good. And otherwise, it's going to take a couple hits. I did give them a damage vulnerability, bludgeoning double. So one interesting thing that Pathfinder 2nd Edition did is to have vulnerabilities to weapons, but a lot more, and to the basic damage types: bludgeoning, piercing, slashing. The Pathfinder 2nd Edition skeletons, they are not vulnerable to bludgeoning damage, but they resist slashing and piercing. I wanted to encourage players to use bludgeoning this way rather than giving them a resistance. So instead of them being resistant to 2 types, if you hit them with bludgeoning, you'll deal double. And it feels really good that you're smashing the skeleton to bits with a bludgeoning weapon. That also kind of mitigates the 8 hit points that it has. Dark Vision 12. Another thing that I should note is the stat blocks. Some of them were earlier in my creation, like the giant spider. The other ones that I've created later on, you'll see, like here I have dark vision 12, so that's the 60 feet of dark vision converted to spaces for DC20. Experience 50, so it's essentially challenge rating 1/4 creature using 5th edition terms. And this is going to be the first enemy that has equipment. So short sword, short bow, light novice armor, it's like scraps, and a heavy shield that's damaged. So its attacks, it has the short sword with a +4 and 2 piercing damage, and a short bow +4, 2 piercing damage. And then the ranges here again, I have it converted to DC20, 16 spaces normal range, 64 spaces long range. And then I did give it some special abilities, just like a PC might have, like raise a shield, 1 action point to gain damage resistance 1 against an attack that it blocks, power attack where it can put an extra point of damage on its short sword attacks, the sword maneuver where it can gain that help die on the attack, and also the bow maneuvers. So what this encounter is going to do versus all the other ones so far is it's going to show how dynamic the monsters can be, where they can spend AP off turn, they can do some pretty cool things like blocking damage, and the monsters' turns in this encounter is going to be much more dynamic than in the previous encounters. I've heard a lot of people call for hydration checks. Well, I think it's time. So, let's see. The zombie. Let's look at the zombie. I'm actually kind of proud of the zombie stat block. It is also based on the 5th edition version, of course. I just could stop saying that because they all are. But Might of 4, it's its highest stat. It's a zombie. It's slow. It's shambling. The agility is terrible. Charisma, intelligence, terrible. So really the only thing that the zombie has going for it is its might. So I did push it to +4 instead of +3, since all of its other stats are terrible. Physical defense 8, mystical defense 6. So even defense-wise, not very good. I gave it 10 hit points because it can, have a little bit of hit point cushion with the low physical defense, low mystical defense. It has 2 hit points more than the skeletons, maybe because of the flesh that's still on them. I gave them damage vulnerability. Brutal hits deal +1 damage. So for those that aren't familiar, DC20 has a couple different types of hits that you can get. If you meet the physical defense or the mystical defense of the creature, it's a normal hit. If you get 5 over their physical defense or mystical defense, it's a heavy hit. And if you get 10 over their physical defense or their mystical defense, it's a brutal hit. So in this case, if you beat their physical defense or their mystical defense by 10 or more, you deal an additional point of damage on top of dealing 2 extra damage already. So you're kind of incentivized to hit these guys really hard. And when you think about a zombie and how they're taken out, usually it is a very solid hit to the head or something. It's usually really a good solid hit. So +6 for athletics for grappling. The 5th edition version was good at athletics, so I kept this one good with athletics. I also started putting here what its combat mastery was. So I think that was helpful. Just some of the advances that I made with the character sheets that I made for this. Its attacks, unarmed strike, +5 to hit. Again, it is a lower challenge creature, but because of the +4 to might, it just innately is able to hit stronger with that +5 and bite for +5 with only 1 damage for the bludgeoning for the unarmed strike, just like a character punching normally. 1 damage for the bite. But when we get to the special abilities, you'll see here Vicious Bite, so that passively the zombie has advantage on bite attacks against targets that it has grappled, and grappled targets take it +1 damage from bites. So ideally what the zombie wants to do is move adjacent to a target, grapple them, and then bite them. And I play my zombies very zombie-like, very dumb. Like, they're not going to spend AP to give themselves advantage typically. They're just going to mindlessly do what zombies do. Speaking of action points, you'll see here that I gave them an ability called a passive ability, Shamble. The zombie only has 3 AP per turn. So I'll take a moment to address what's possibly the elephant in the room for this, for the monsters that I've created, and that's all of my monsters have 4 AP, 4 action points. And the reason is that I've tried running monsters with 3 action points, 2 action points, and they just don't have the impact. Their turns are not dynamic. They feel flat. So I really don't like running monsters that have less than 4 AP. The zombie makes sense because it's slow, it's shambling around. In fact, the zombie in Pathfinder 2nd Edition that has a 3-point action economy only has 2 action points per turn. So I think this is a fair compromise to the Pathfinder zombie. And when I've run it, it's felt good. It's felt right. And the other thing that I did was the Undead Fortitude as a special ability, another passive. If the zombie is reduced to 0 HP from a normal hit, the zombie is reduced to 1 HP instead. So instead of me rolling like a might save to see if the zombie stays up and all of that, this is a very simple passive. The only way to actually kill the zombie is reducing it to 0 hit points or less with a heavy or higher hit. Heavy, brutal, so on, a critical. If you don't hit it really hard, you're not going to kill it. And for a zombie, I think that feels thematic as well. You think about like Walking Dead, and they don't like paper cut the zombie to death. They take something and they shove it right through its skull. So I think it's very on point to have this Undead Fortitude, and it's a really simple, easy way to do it. Moving on. Room number 6. Room number 6 is another challenge room where, I want to back up to room number 5 really quick, just to state. No, you don't have to. Don't change it. But you have the skeletons that now have like weapon maneuvers and things that they can do off turn to mitigate damage and stuff. That adds that dynamic to teach what that's like. And then you have the passive abilities of the zombie. So I think the Pathfinder 2nd Edition beginner box does a good job as a tutorial to teach people how to play Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And I feel like what I've done with DC20 in this conversion is to maintain that purpose of teaching people how to play DC20, because you're learning the basics with the rats, a little bit more with the spider, and you're learning about like dynamic combat and passive creature abilities, and we just keep skill challenges, and we just keep building. So this room has an altar, and there is a thing of water, and if you drink it, you get a bonus. But you have to make a saving throw, or you end up being sickened. That's how it works in Pathfinder. For me, there's going to be a couple skill checks that can be made. Religion is one of the skill checks that can be made in Pathfinder to determine what the shrine is about. Yeah, so anyway, probably a couple skill checks that can be made, and the might save on this is too much. So I actually do need to put a little bit of thought into this room. So if you want to find out how I run this room, check back Monday with the live stream. But for now, I'll just say I spent more time on the encounters and not like the puzzles like this one. So on the fly, it would be a might save if they drink it, and I'm just not 100% on the mechanics that I would use. This has them regain some hit points, so I guess I would probably run it like a rest point where they regain 2 hit points, or just like a healing potion. The fortitude save that they have for Pathfinder is way too high for DC 20. It's a DC 20. I feel like for DC 20, I would have to probably be like maybe DC 12 might save. DC 12 might save maybe. And then if you know what? I almost want to say that it would be a DC 10. Maybe it's a DC 10, and then that determines how many hit points you get. If you succeed that DC 10, maybe it is a 12. Maybe it is a 12. You're actually getting to see me like think live on camera here, which is kind of rare. But yeah, I think DC 12. I would go with a DC 12. If you succeed, you get 2 hit points. If you succeed by 5 or more, and every 5 thereafter, so 17, 22, you would gain an additional hit point from drinking this water. And then if you fail, you would take, I would probably just go with what this says, -1 status, -1 penalty to your D20 rolls for an hour. And if you failed by 5 or more, so if you ended up with like a result of 7, I would still give you the 2 hit points minimum, but you would just start taking these penalties for failing that check. And then if you failed it by 5 or more, and if you ended up somehow with a result of 2, then you would take a -2 penalty. So it would stack, just like the by 5 system, which is really a cool mechanic, and I think it's a really cool way to run this room. So odds are that's probably how I will handle it. The religion check and stuff would be to learn what the water is and how it might impact you. Moving on to room number 7. This one is interesting and dynamic because you have 4 kobolds, and they are trying to break into this area here. I've seen players attack this from a couple different ways. The last time I ran it was at a convention, and the players kind of like just hung back and watched the kobolds do what they were doing, and then when they were inside the cage, they ambushed them. So they are distracted. They are trying to break into this thing. So I have an initiative DC of 14. It's probably one of the lowest initiative DCs that I have, and the reason is they're distracted. With that in mind, the encounter DC is 9. Um, a lot of the encounter DCs, I don't think they're going to come into play, but I just stuck with Dungeon Coach's suggestion of 5 less. So when I get a second, I need to pull up the Kobold monster stat. So before I pull up the Kobold monster stat, I've had people ask me, how do I track like the monster's AP and stuff? And the simple answer is you can see the blue bar. It has 4 out of 4, and it's green bar 5 out of 5. Or if you look at the inside the circles, the green circle is 5 and the blue circle is 4. The green circle, the green bar, is its hit points, and the blue circle, the blue bar, is its action points. So if off turn this kobold does something, I do -1, and now it has. Oh, they're all linked. Okay, so I need to change that. It's a pretty easy fix, but I'll do that off camera. But essentially, they wouldn't be linked, and I would track it that way. And as they spend action points off turn, I would just keep ticking them down, and then when it's that kobold's turn, I know how many action points it has left. I do a similar thing with my players, so let me I'll pull out a pre-generated character to show you. Here is my fighter. So he has the red 1 stamina, he has 9 for his hit points, he has his 4 action points. So if he uses parry, he spent an AP. If he uses his technique, I think I gave him the better parry where it lasts for the whole round. That's going to cost him an AP. That's going to cost him his stamina. And you can see how cleanly that has tracked what he's done. When his turn is over, he would regain his AP, and then if he did whatever the fighter needs to do to regain their stamina, they would get their stamina back. So for me, I've only run DC20 on Roll20, so I haven't had any issue tracking AP because I just used one of the bars. I designated the blue for AP. I've always used the blue bar, and for me, it works really good. The biggest issue that I've had is players not remembering to tick down their AP as they do things off turn. So, Kobold attacks the fighter decides to parry. I know that the fighter needs to deduct an AP and should only have 3. If I don't see that they change it, then I just click on their token. I -1. Fighter makes an opportunity attack. They don't change it. Okay, I tick another one off. And then when their turn comes around and they're like, I want to do this, 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 and this, and I'm like, well, actually, you only have 2 AP left. So, is it more work for me as a DM to have to track the player's AP? Yes. Should I have to track the player's AP? No. But it's not really as bad as some people might think, because you see how easy it is. You just click on their token, click in the circle, and then make it whatever you want it to be. So, looking at the kobold, here, kobold. I have a might of 2, an agility or of -2, an agility of +2, a charisma of -1, intelligence -2. Again, agility is really its key ability there. A PD of 11, physical defense, MD 7, mystical defense, and hit points 5. So just like the goblin example that I gave earlier, I figure kobolds are similar in squishiness to goblins, and one really good hit or two okay hits should drop this kobold. With a pretty average PD, it shouldn't be too difficult to do. They're not very mentally capable, so their mystical defense is lower. So again, clerics with their sacred bolts are going to do pretty well here. I copied this straight out of 5th edition, and you can see like I haven't converted that to spaces, but would be 12. Sunlight sensitivity, I just kept that. It won't come into play in this module because it's all underground, but I think it's fine because they have disadvantage on attack rolls that rely on sight when they're in sunlight. And because of the fact that they can empower their attacks, on top of the fact that, yes, I'll just give you a sneak peek, I kept pack tactics for them as well. But they can also just empower their attack to overcome the disadvantage from the sunlight sensitivity. I think that's really cool and dynamic, and just the fact that DC20 allows this action point enhancement to overcome disadvantage is really cool. So, yes, I gave them 4 AP, but if they're in sunlight, I mean, think about it. They're already, maybe they have to spend an AP to move, and then they're going to attack, and then they're going to have to spend an AP just to overcome the disadvantage from the sunlight, unless they're in melee with one of their allies, and then the pack tactics will cover for that. But I think having things like this in DC20, I don't know, maybe it's controversial. Let me know in the comments, but I think it's cool to have things that add advantage or give disadvantage to creatures passively, like pack tactics and sunlight sensitivity. Not that I ever really liked sunlight sensitivity, and I know that they're taking it out of the game, out of 5th edition. But I think it actually works better in DC20 than it does in 5th edition. So I'll leave it there. They're to hit, because their highest ability is only +2 and they're a low level creature. They're only having +3 to hit here. Their damage is low, 1 damage with the dagger, 1 bludgeoning with the sling. These ranges are in DC20 spaces, so the dagger is either melee or thrown with a normal range of 4 spaces, long range 12 spaces, and then the sling, normal range 6 spaces, 24 spaces long range. Not much else to say about the kobold because I already mentioned its pack tactics. So moving on, room number 8. There is a trap here. Yeah, so there'll be probably a physical save to avoid the trap. The ceiling falls on them in that if they step in that dotted line square, and then there's a perception check to notice the area, and then there is for Pathfinder it's a thievery check. I would use an appropriate skill, or if the players come up with something cool to disable this trap for DC20. Time. Okay. So not spending too much time on the trapped hallway. Number 9 is another puzzle. This one is a straight knowledge-based puzzle. Nothing really in-game to tell you how to do it. For the one shot that I'm going to run, I honestly might skip this puzzle just for time's sake, because it's essentially there's so many coins on the table. and you put the coins in the hands of the statue, and the one with the real coin raises up, and you have to, by process of elimination, decide which of the 9 coins is the real coin. So, I mean, it has no bearing on actually playing DC20. So I think for the one shot that I run on Monday, I'll probably leave this one out, just to keep the flow of the game going. Room number 10 is interesting because this mechanism, it turns on the trap here in room number 11. So I'll probably still use that, and it's just a simple interaction with that gear that activates and deactivates the trap. Interestingly, the trap is deactivated to start, so if the players go in that room and activate the device, it activates the trap, and they wouldn't necessarily know that that's the case. Room number 11 is the end of the first floor, and it has an initiative DC of 18 and encounter DC of 13. This is for the top floor, I believe the highest initiative DC. There was another room, I think, that also had an 18. I think it was the spider. The reason for that is that the Kobold Inventor is a little bit more dynamic, and then there's the 2 other kobolds plus that trap if it was activated. In comparison to the Pathfinder 2nd Edition version, I think this encounter is probably going to be easier. Now that I'm thinking about it, I might even consider that it needs a little bit of a buff, whether it's increasing. Oh, I don't want the players to see that. Whether it's increasing the Kobold Inventor's hit points, or maybe adding another regular Kobold to it. The Kobold Inventor with only 7 hit points, I just feel like he's not going to be as impactful as the Kobold Trapmaster that's normally there in the Pathfinder version. The Trapmaster, here he is. Might -2, agility +3, charisma -1, intelligence -2, physical defense 12. So he has 1 more agility than the regular kobold. In fact, let me pull them up side by side. I think that might be the way to go with this. So, yeah. So 1 more physical defense, only 2 more hit points. All of this stuff is the same. The equipment's the same. The attacks, because of the higher agility on the Inventor, he is going to have a better chance to hit with a +4. Same damage, though. Same thing with the pack tactics. And then the Inventor, based on the 5th edition version, has this weapon invention ability where it can use one of the following options, and it can use each no more than once per day. This is really where the Inventor would probably stand out. And actually, this is a good chance for me just to go over it one last time myself. So the acid on a 1, if I roll the d8 to see what he does, is a ranged weapon attack, +4 to hit. It's 1 space, 4 spaces, 1 target, 2 acid damage, and what it does is it hurls a flask of acid. Okay. So it's a weapon attack. So if he does this, and another one that he does is also an attack like number 2, Alchemist Fire, then he would have disadvantage on that because it would be the second attack check of the turn. Let's see. Reach, 1 space, 4 spaces. On a hit, it does 1 fire damage. He throws a flask of Alchemist Fire. If it hits, the damage repeats at the start of each of the target's turns. A creature can end this damage by using its action to make a DC 10 physical check to extinguish the flames. So you see, I did convert these inventor abilities that the 5th edition version has over to DC20's language. Looking at the basket of centipedes, though, the kobold throws a small basket into a 5-foot square space within 4 spaces of it. A swarm of insects with 6 hit points emerges from the basket and enters the initiative. At the end of the swarm's turn, there's a 50% chance that it disperses. So it could do this in addition to one of the attack things, and this would not incur disadvantage. So I think one thing that this inventor has over the 5th edition version is 4 action points. So it could throw out a couple of these in a turn, where the 5th edition version could only throw out 1. But a lot of these are ranged attacks, like the green slime pot. It's a same thing, +4 to hit, 1/4 on the spaces for the range. Throws a clay pot full of green slime. Is covered in a patch of green slime, dealing 1 corrosive damage at the start of each of its turns. And just like the burning, it can make a DC 10 physical save to end it. And if the kobold misses, it covers a 5-foot square section within 5 feet of the target. Rock grub pot. The kobold throws a clay pot into a 5-foot square space within 4 spaces of it, and it breaks open on impact. A swarm of rock grubs cover the target, dealing 1 piercing damage at the start of the creature's turns, and they can make a DC 10 physical save to end the effect. So again, this one doesn't use an attack roll, so it could do this. And to be honest, I think what I'm going to have to do to make this room challenging, I don't know that I need to add anything else. I just need to play the inventor smart. I love random, and I love when the dice tell a story, but I don't think I could roll this random for this encounter. In order to have it be challenging, I need to have the inventor pick the things that make sense. Maybe make one of the attack ones and then throw out all of the other pots that it possibly can. And honestly, I think it would be a really cool turn, because this kobold inventor is going to be like, invaders, and then like just start reaching in its pack and like just throwing out all these like crazy containers full of random things. I think it'll be pretty cool. The Scorpion on a Stick is an attack roll. 1 piercing damage. It makes an attack with a Scorpion on a Stick. Yeah. Then there's a physical saver, 2 poison damage. Skunk in a Cage. There's a lot to that. It releases the skunk. The skunk has a walking speed, hit points, like 1. But it enters the initiative. And again, that's like DC20 lingo. It's going to be added to the initiative, just like a GM would add the monsters to the initiative. On its turn, it uses an action to spray musk at a random creature within 5 feet of it. Target must make a DC 9 physical saving throw. On a failed save, it retches and can't take actions for a minute, and it can repeat the saving throw. I feel like I need to actually take a second look at that. That's too strong for DC20, I think. I'll change it right now. We'll just look at the wasp nest quick. The kobold throws a small bag in a 5-foot space. A swarm of insects, swarm of wasps 6 hit points emerges from the bag and enters the initiative, and then there's a chance that it disperses, just like the centipedes. So I need to fix this. Failed save. The target retches and can't take actions. That's too strong. And as disadvantage on its actions for 1 minute. I think that is the clean way to handle this in DC20. I mean, in 5th edition, losing your action is like, I mean, it's bad, but like losing all 4 actions, like, no, I can't have a skunk do that. But giving you disadvantage, and you could empower through the disadvantage, it just feels right, I think. So there, I mean, you got to see me on the fly change some things, come up with some things. You had a good look behind the screen, look at the monsters that I created, look at how the encounters are laid out. If you're familiar with the Pathfinder 2nd Edition beginner box, then you'll probably appreciate how I've tried to retain the flavor of that module as a teaching module. My short rest is very rapidly coming to an end, as the next adventure is prep for dinner. So anyway, I guess that's all I have on the prep end. I do have my wonderful wife Allie sitting here with me. So did you have anything that I did not go over that you want to?
Just really quick, just wanted to let everyone know that we're going to be running The Haunting by Call of Cthulhu tomorrow, June 13th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll throw up a link in the description below for that. And we are officially full for the Lost Mines of DC20 on Saturday afternoon, but I just added a new one, and session 0 is going to be June 30th at 8 o'clock in the morning for anyone interested in joining a brand new Lost Mines of DC20 that Gary will be running Sundays at 8 o'clock in the morning. Yes, he also has the beginner box module that you just watched, the new metagaming. There is a second floor. That is going to be starting on June 24th. It's a Monday at 8 o'clock p.m. That's 2 or 3 days, depending on how long it takes people to get through it. Again, Eastern Standard Time, but once you click on the link, it'll auto-convert for you. Yep, the Haunted pops up a bunch. We're actually running at 9 o'clock in the morning on June 18th. 9 o'clock in the morning on June 18th. And if you go to our Start Playing, you just click on Request a GM, and we work for ourselves, so we can make ourselves available often to run whatever you need. Private groups, public groups, whatever you're looking for, just let us know. Yeah, that is all I got. Oh, wait. I have one more thing. Where's our thank you thing? Is it under loading? No. That one. So this is a little off right now because we're at 108 subscribers, but oh my God, thank you so much. That's absolutely phenomenal.
Great transition. Yeah, so just a quick reminder, in order to be eligible for the contest, all you have to do is be subscribed to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment down below. And again, the prize is a voucher for one free session. Either join one of our one shots if you don't want the commitment of a campaign, or you can use it to get a free session in one of our either new or established campaigns. So we always do a free session 0, and you could also then get your first session free as well. And also Monday night on Geeked Out on Twitch, and then we're also going to have our first live stream on YouTube. It's going to be a collaboration. I was just going to run this for Geeked Out and then post the video on YouTube, but as a way to say thank you to all of our wonderful viewers, subscribers, we're actually going to stream that for you guys as well. So if you want to check it out live as it happens, Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, or otherwise the video will hit YouTube in a couple weeks, I believe. I guess a quick reminder of our schedule. We put out videos 3 times a week. Monday is Refocus. It's a shorter 10-minute video, kind of taken inspiration from the Pathfinder 2nd Edition mechanic Refocus, where you spend 10 minutes in game to regain a focus point. I wanted a shorter form, quick to the point video, and then my initial original concept for this channel was this short rest, which is more low-key, conversational pace, and it's an hour taking inspiration around an hour, and taking inspiration from the D&D mechanic of short rest. And then we do live play videos on Saturdays. So again, thank you guys. I am blown away by the support, and I look forward to continuing to make content for you guys. Take care.